Hey guys, we've got a really fun video for you today because we've got two vehicles that directly compete, the Volkswagen Atlas Crossport and the Chevy Blazer. Except, not quite, because that Atlas is 41 grand and that Blazer $51,000. And today we're gonna find out, is that Blazer worth 10 grand more than that Volkswagen? But Nathan is gonna start you out with the style.
Let's say you want sports car styling in a crossover. I'm referring to the Chevy Camaro because with this Chevy Blazer, you get a little bit of that. This does look a little bit like a Chevy Camaro. However, it's not, not even close. The thing is that they wanted a resemblance so it would look sporty, and this is the RS package, which makes it look even more sporty with big 21-inch wheels and a lot of extra flair up front, and of course the big RS. Those are really cool things that make this look a little bit more formidable. However, with all the creases and curves and extra metals and everything else that they have to update the look, at the same time, they haven't been able to take away the one issue with this vehicle that makes it not so SUV-like, not so off-road crossover-like, and that's this lower section down here. Its approach angle is pretty similar to a Chevy Camaro.
Keeping with that Camaro-like design, the rear of the Blazer does have that slight sloping rear end, which has become such a trend now on modern crossovers. It also has dual exhausts and a tremendous amount of piano black finish, like down here on a rear diffuser almost? I don't know how to describe this piece of rear trim. It also, of course, has a hidden tow hitch. The Crossport also has a sloping rear end. It's got more chrome on it, but what is going on here? These fake quad exhausts are just so noticeably not real. Why even incorporate them into the rear fascia? But the funny part is, this car does have dual exhaust outlets. They're just hidden underneath. Poke them through! What's the point of this?
Wie geht's? Ich liebe the Volkswagen. Well, actually, not so much. Here's the thing. I don't necessarily love the design. I like the design because the Atlas, the regular Atlas, I thought was pretty handsome. This is supposed to be a completely different SUV, and in the back it does look that way, but in the front it looks a lot like a regular Atlas, and I was kind of hoping that Volkswagen would make it look a little bit more unique, a little bit special, and they didn't. However, it still looks handsome. I like the chiseled look. I like the fact that it has sort of a no-nonsense design, and I really like the way they designed this grille too. Overall, this vehicle does look purposeful. It says, I like German vehicles, and you don't. But here's the thing. One thing I really do like is it has a pretty good approach angle. We've taken its bigger brother off-road before, and it actually did better than most crossovers. Part of the reason why? Really good approach angle, especially when compared to the Blazer. In terms of power, one thing about this Blazer is that it's near the top of the heap amongst the competition because it puts out 308 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. Now it's hooked up to a 9-speed automatic transmission. This one does have the all-wheel drive system, and one important thing about having that much beef and all-wheel drive in a vehicle that weighs a little over 2 tons, combined 21 mpg, which is not spectacular. The overall driving impressions I get with this vehicle is that it's actually kind of sporty. Bigger wheels and tires definitely make the car feel a little bit more sporty. The engine power is good. You know, it's not a turbo or anything like that, so up here at high elevation it's not that fast, but passing power is really good. And handling, I like the weight of the steering. It's got a nice heft to it. I really do like it.
Both the Blazer and the Atlas use a 3.6 liter V6, but in the Atlas it is less powerful, 276 horsepower, 266 pound-feet of torque, mated to an 8-speed automatic transmission. Now the Atlas is available in all-wheel drive or front-wheel drive, but this particular one is front-wheel drive. So you'd expect the front-wheel drive, less powerful Atlas to be a lot more efficient than the all-wheel drive Blazer, right? No, it is not. It's actually rated at 19 combined versus 21 with the Chevy, so that's a little disappointing. If you want a 4-cylinder turbo, it is available on the Volkswagen, and it's actually available on the Chevy as well.
This is a much better riding vehicle for those who like a smooth ride. It's got 20 wheels, so it's not 21 inch like the Blazer RS. It's still pretty damn big, but it's quieter, it's a lot more comfortable, but it's not as sporty. So if I go around this corner and if I decide to go fast, it doesn't quite feel as rewarding as the Chevrolet. The steering is a little overboosted for my taste too. With that being said, I think on a day-to-day basis, in terms of overall comfort and the fact that this can do some light off-roading if you get the all-wheel drive version, I kind of prefer this. Kind of, just a little. I like to call the Blazer the B-Laser. Why? Because the minute you say Blazer, people freak out. And I can get it because it's not a truck. It wasn't built in the 60s, 70s, or 80s, or 90s for that matter. And it's not based on the old S10. Sorry guys, but there's good news. And that is you have a car-like interior, which is very nice. I really like the vent setup. These are basically right out of a Camaro in terms of design. But what's cool about them is that if you rotate this knob, look at this. This actually is for temperature, and it's on both sides. Fan control is here and it's tiny. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but in terms of just the vents alone, that really gets me going. Now this is the RS, so it does have some nicer interior bits. That's including this raised stitching. And if you really like super hard plastic, you get that too. Right there. Right where you would put your elbow if you unrolled the window. It's probably my biggest gripe with the interior. I don't mind the 8-inch screen. I don't mind the overall layout, but there is something else I need to show you guys. Check this out. For some reason, they decided to put the traction control switch right next to the glove box switch. So, behold, boop. Yep, but other than that quirk and the hard plastic on the doors, I think that this interior is one of the nicer ones out there if you like a sporty interior that's very comfortable. The seats are very comfortable. And as I said, I do like the fact that it has these little touches, including a little RS thing right there. Isn't that cute? Seating position's quite good. Comfort on the highway is good, but there is some road noise that comes in. I think it is because of those larger tires, a little bit more aggressive rubber on here. I've driven in the a rental version of this, which was a lower trim model, so it had the smaller wheels and tires, which by the way don't look very good in my book, but the point is that it wasn't as noisy. So I think it is the tires and wheels.
We're gonna check out the back seat of the Blazer, and the first thing you notice is the completely flat floor, which is impressive for a vehicle with all-wheel drive. You also have a power outlet here, as well as a USB and USB-C. That's all pretty good, but whoa! Pretty major issue here. I am 6'1" tall, this is my driving position, and I just do not have enough headroom back here. Not even close to enough headroom to being comfortable. So I'd say if you're over maybe 5'10", this is gonna be a big issue. Of course, this car is equipped with the full panoramic sunroof, but yeah, this is pretty unacceptable for taller passengers. Legroom is good, overall seat comfort is good, but if you can't sit up straight, it's not brilliant.
In we go. Now, the first thing I can tell you right off the bat is that the seat's a little bit higher. So a big chunky guy like me, I just drop my butt right onto the seat, which is nice. It's comfortable. This interior feels a little bit more roomy, at least for usable space in terms of elbow room. And I do like the fact that, unlike the Blazer, a little bit of padding on the door sill. In terms of the interior design, Volkswagen has kept it very sedate. This is Very similar to what you would see in a Passat or other vehicles sold and built here in the United States. And I'm sorry, Volkswagen, but you guys need to up your game. The Blazer just looks better. The other thing that I'm not exactly a fan of is the fact that these controls really are out of like 2007. They are old, and it is beginning to really feel dated in a brand new vehicle. I like the steering wheel. I always like a flat bottom steering wheel, especially because I'm a big chunky guy. So that's nice. And just like the Blazer, there are little sections here and there that show the R, specifically right here on the steering wheel. All in all, this interior is tidy. It's just not as special as the Chevys. I really like the stuff that they did with the Chevrolet interior, but it's just the little things that make this feel a little bit more comfortable to me overall. Even though the simplicity of this interior is apparent, this vehicle is a smoother ride. It's not quite as rewarding, but on a day-to-day basis, if I was commuting, I think I would choose this over the Chevrolet.
Now the first thing you notice in the Volkswagen is the absurd amount of legroom back here. This is also my driving position at 6'1", and the legroom it's Mercedes S-Class territory. That's just incredible. I also have 2 USBs down here, as well as a power outlet just like that Blazer. But check this out, same problem. It's not quite as bad. I've got a little bit more headroom, it feels like, but still my head is jammed into the ceiling with this panoramic sunroof. Overall, both seats have a lot of room in both the Chevy and the Volkswagen, but if you're over like 5, maybe 11 in this car, you're gonna be pretty grumpy.
This is an interesting trunk because I'm not a huge fan of this. This is a sliding gate, which is, I guess, good if you're going to hide your Pomeranian and you want a little space for that little kennel to go here and not move around. I get it, but I think it gets in the way. Once it's folded all the way over there, well, you want to put a long item in there, you have to remove it. Now, to do that, these seats fold completely flat, which is nice, but once again, you got that. So, I don't know, I think it's a little bit more of a gimmick than anything else, but some people might find it useful. A little bit more usable trunk space when it comes to the Volkswagen. Part of the reason why is it doesn't have that sliding gate. But just like the Blazer, the liftover is a little bit high, and one of the reasons why, once again, spare tire. It's a donut, and yes, you still have some cargo space in there to add some extra things, but this isn't as useful of a rear area because there are no levers to pull to knock those seats down. If you want to put the seats down, you got to go over to them onto the side in order to fold them, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. So, in terms of overall usable space, a little bit better. In terms of ease of use, not quite as good.
When properly equipped, the Volkswagen Atlas can tow up to 5,000 pounds, which is 500 pounds more than the Blazer. However, the Blazer does have a bunch of really cool towing technology, such as full surround view cameras, which help you hitch up to that trailer.
These are not what I would call manly vehicles. They're not exactly something that I would want to drive every day because I prefer something that could seriously go off-road or seriously be on the pavement. Both of them kind of cut the difference, but this is much more of a pavement cruiser. It handles really well, better on the streets than the Volkswagen. The Blazer in the RS trim actually is kind of fun to drive, and it has really good power. On the other hand, if you do want to go off-road, if you get the all-wheel drive package, the Volkswagen is one of the better vehicles out there. So which one would I choose? I would rather have something that I can occasionally go off-road in. So if this was all-wheel drive, I would definitely be getting the Volkswagen. Also the price. Wow, it's a big difference. So yeah, once again, it moves to the Volkswagen. Nothing against this vehicle though. The Blazer has a wonderful interior with a couple minor exceptions, and it is a pretty damn fun car to drive.
It's worth noting, of course, that this Volkswagen can be spec'd in a higher trim to cost more, close to $50,000 when fully spec'd. And this one is, of course, front-wheel drive only, and if you wanted all-wheel drive on this particular trim, it would be $500 on top of it, so I'm not sure why you'd go for the front-wheel drive over the all-wheel drive. If it was my money, I'd probably choose a Volkswagen because you get a lot of technology for not a huge amount of money and a huge amount of space on top of that. The Blazer is a very fun to drive vehicle, as Nathan mentioned. The interior is really nice, but 51 grand is just a big ask. As always, this is Tommy with the Fastlane Car, and of course Nathan. Head over to tflcar.com for the latest and greatest in new car reviews.